Good morning, Abhishu. It is Tuesday. It's yeah, it's been a great weekend. We came back from a long trip from upstate New York, kind of. Yeah, we went to the Niagara Falls and then we went to a couple other places, Ithaca and everything. But yeah, it was a fun trip, kind of a mini vacation, so to speak. But yeah, coming back here, and I actually wanted to talk about a concept that we talk about a lot when in school, but we never really give a lot of thought to it. And I kind of wanted to be uh, the devil's advocate here for that topic. So the idea is about authorial intent. So uh, making it as simple as possible, there's this meme that says that when a poet says the sky is blue, the reader thinks that the sky is blue, and the teacher says that the sky is blue means that the author was feeling blue and blah, blah, and basically the teacher tries to extract meaning out of it that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then the author's interpretation is that the sky is blue. So in the end, the author actually just meant that the sky is blue, but teacher just got meaningless ideas out of it. There was no intent for the author to get any extra meanings that the teacher attached to it. But yeah, the teacher attached to it that meaning nonetheless. So that's really the concept behind authorial intent. On the question is whether we should stick to the authorial intent when trying to read a text or read a poem or read whatever, really. Not just read, actually, even in trying to analyze paintings or trying to analyze any piece of art, really. uh, the question arises whether or not we should care about authorial intent. And well, I have almost always been a supporter for authorial intent, that whenever you consume content, whenever you consume art, so I call it content, but like it's anything that involves creativity. It can be a movie or a TV show as well, it can be a book or a painting as well. Anything that requires any kind of creativity would should have the author's intent attached to it. That's what I've always felt, and I think that it would be true for you as well. I don't know what you think about it, but yeah, let me know what you think, by the way. But I think it kind of stems from the personality that we kind of have, we kind of share, is that we tend to think of things in a scientific or a logical manner, or whatever else you might want to call it. There's this line of thinking that you follow when you try to solve a problem. This approach that you have when you're trying to think of solutions, and or whatever be the case. That's really the idea, that you want to convey certain ideas without ambiguity, without things left open to interpretation. So you want to make things as clear as possible, right? That's what scientists would want their theories to do. If the theories are vague and they're not clear uh, on a certain set of variables, maybe, or if it's any kind of thing that would cause any kind of vagueness in in whatever they propose, it just brings in uh, more and more error into the solution, I suppose. Yeah, that's one way to put it. That uh, in general, people that try to solve problems want to make things as clear as possible. And so if we are kind of mimicking that personality, then we would feel that authorial intent matters, because it matters what the person thought of when they were conveying any kind of idea, any kind of information, right? But somehow, when you move into the world of art, when you move into the world of creativity, uh, people actually do think that authorial intent is irrelevant. That it doesn't matter what the author thought of it; it matters what you think of it. And me trying to be the devil's advocate, I tried to find a couple of texts, to see where people come from. There were a couple of ideas, and actually this was triggered by something that John Green said in one of his videos in Vlog Brothers, that he just randomly said that authorial intent doesn't matter, and it matters that he saw that the painting was slightly crooked, and that's what he got out of it. So yeah, of course you'll have to watch the video for the entire context, but the idea is that that's what he was trying to say, that authorial intent doesn't matter. And I felt a bit strange at that, because he is a writer, and since his book of Fault in Our Stars, it's actually he's a lot more popular than he used to be with his other books, Looking for Alaska, Turtles All the Way Down, or whatever. So yeah, I was surprised when he said that. So I dug a bit deeper, and I tried to understand people's ideas. And so, one big argument against authorial intent and saying that authorial intent is irrelevant is that you would generally not have the author present when analyzing a piece of art. It's easier for when you're trying to convey scientific notation, scientific ideas, that you the purpose of communication is to maintain that clarity. But when you move into the art of creativity and the art of art, really, it interestingly enough, people say that the authors are rarely present to describe their intent. They never they tried their best in showing their intent in the book, or in the content that they created, in any kind of uh, book or movie or TV show that they created, or painting. That they tried to give out as much information as they could. So after that, whatever you consume has to be uh, devoid of the intent of the author, because the author would not be present to explain why he drew something the way he did, or why he wrote or showed something the way he showed it, right? So it doesn't really matter if they did it in a particular way or not. It doesn't matter what they thought of something when they did something or not. It matters that they did it in a particular way. So yeah, there you go about it. And another idea is that sometimes it's more useful to attach your own meaning to something if it means that you're getting something good out of it. So this is generally more true with books, but I'm not sure if other art forms would attach to it just as well. But for books, if there are some stories, some fiction stories, I generally I have talked about it, that I like reading fiction stories more, because I don't want people to tell me directly that some things matter more than others, or whatever life teaching, or whatever lesson, or whatever message they're trying to send out. I don't want it to be told directly to me, because I need some kind of anecdotal message that is imparted through a story, that is a lot more entertaining to me, right? So if that's the case, then if I found any kind of message from a story that was not actually a part of the story itself, then I'm not part of the story in the sense that the author didn't intend it, but I still felt that, and I still learned that message, or I still got that meaning out of it, and it changed me for the better, then I think it's a good thing. That's at least that's what people say, that it's a good thing that you found something that didn't exist when the author wanted to uh, when the author made something like that. So that's another way to look at it, that if If in 1984, for example, Orwell had all of these meanings attached to a dystopian world, but why is 1984 the most influential book for me personally? Because I really felt how uh, I felt this power against suppression. That if they're trying to suppress what you're trying to think, what you're trying to act, then there's this you taking away this sense of freedom from that person, not just in actions or even words. They're trying to restrict your thoughts by changing the language that you speak, right? And that was very moving for me personally, right? So even if the there was a bigger message in the story, maybe about how surveillance is going to be the future of this world or whatever, maybe that's the bigger intent that George Orwell was trying to push towards. But for me, I found that this lesson of uh, feeling the need to have this uh, conversation flowing, not just conversation with actions and words, but also with thoughts. If your thoughts are being restricted, then there's a big problem. And that's what I personally got out of 1984. And that's so if that's the case, that 1984 probably had a bigger message that I didn't follow, but I did have some other message that I got from the book, then it's good for me. It doesn't really matter if Orwell didn't mean to have that as his main message of the book, right? It doesn't really matter. That's what people say, at least. I mean, I don't know if I completely agree with that still, but yeah, these are some things that I found that were interesting, that when people say that authorial intent does not matter. Authorial intent uh, was conveyed when the piece of art was being created, when the painting was being created or the book was being written. Uh, they put in however much intent that they could into the piece of art, and everything after that is, and actually even everything before that, is irrelevant. So yeah, that's what I think. But just for some uh, counter argument, I feel if that is the case, then Animal Farm wouldn't be able to stand in and of itself, right? That Animal Farm is a book that heavily parodies, in a way, the Russian Revolution, right? And it talks about the Russian Revolution in a very funny but kind of a dystopian way. But yeah, if we move the context away from the book, the context of Russian Revolution, which actually happened at the time for me, which is why I have a unique outlook on that book. The Animal Farm, when I first read it, I didn't know that it was about the Russian Revolution at all. So when I read it, it was a very strange book for me. Didn't make a lot of sense. It was a funny book, and I thought, why is such a basic story or a basic simple thing, which is funny, I guess, but it's not the craziest book that people have ever read. Why is this book getting so much recognition? And I came to know that it is because of the context. you know so the author's intent was for people to understand that it comes out of the Russian Revolution. So because I didn't know the author's intent, the book didn't make sense to me, and I didn't like that book all that much, right? But then the question also arises whether it is important whether I like the content or not when consuming it. So that kind of borders between consuming content as a means of entertainment versus consuming content as a means to gain knowledge versus anything else. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else, but uh, yeah, that's a whole another debate. But the idea is that if I didn't understand the author's intent, which I didn't with Animal Farm, then I didn't understand the book, and I didn't like the book, and it just felt like a stupid book to me. So hey, uh, I don't know what to say. So yeah, I still feel strongly for author's intent. I still feel that it makes sense for you to uh, uh, you know make things as clear as possible. And if even if they're not clear, even if they're vague, uh, you know the author would strive for letting his or her intent known, and uh, readers or watchers or listeners should try to push into knowing the author's intent before trying to get the meaning out of it, you know. And yeah, this is just a this video kind of is a two-way conversation in what I think about uh, arguments for and against authorial intent. So yeah, let me know what you think. I do believe that you would be in favor of authorial intent, and I'll be surprised if you are not. But I would love to know what you think. Yeah, for sure, because we've been watching a lot of movies, reading a lot of books, whatever. We've gone through a lot of TV shows, different kind of genres as well. Anyway, from like South Indian movies to anime to uh, just generally content that we've not listened to before. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you think it's better to have uh, authorial intent or not, and I think it'll be an interesting thing to discuss between the two of us. So yeah, and yeah, there's a kid crying in the background, so I'll see you next week. Bye.